So what does the Supreme Court ruling against Trump's tariffs mean for consumers? I want to bring in Chief Business Editor of People Inc. and Editor-in-Chief of Investopedia, Caleb Silver. Caleb, great to have you. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So which consumer products will see the most price relief from this tariff ruling?
Those products that were included in the International Emergency Economic Powers Act tariffs that the Trump administration put in place. What are we talking about? We're talking about apparel, electronics, toys and sporting goods, household goods, coffee from places like Brazil, and some beef. So you're going to see some relief there, but it's important to note there are still many other tariffs in place and many other tariffs that are undecided that we're going to have to deal with.
Right. There are still import taxes that will remain in place. Is that right? So what does that mean?
There's import taxes, and there's also tariffs that are subject to the Section 232 of the Trade Act of 1962. And those are products like steel, copper, aluminum, lumber, and auto parts. But you're also getting tax increases for a lot of those other imports from countries like Italy and Europe and throughout Europe. So higher prices are probably here to stay, although we'll get some relief on some of those major products that I mentioned when you get a reduction in the cost of those coming into the United States.
Okay, so that's what we have to look out for. Now, President Trump said he would sign a new executive order enacting a 10% global tariff. So what does that mean when it comes to consumer savings overall? What are we going to see?
Yeah, he's talking about an additional 10% on the tariffs that still remain that the Supreme Court did not strike down. So I mentioned some of them, including steel, copper, aluminum, lumber, and auto parts. But there's also those tariffs imposed on China through yet another trade act, Section 301, and that's semiconductors, auto parts, aerospace parts. We don't buy those personally as consumers, but those costs end up bleeding down to us. Retailers or big businesses pass those costs on us. But overall, with this Supreme Court ruling, prices will go down across a main set of categories, and that could mean we go from having to spend about $1,000 a month estimated in additional prices to about $500 to $600, but a lot of this still to be determined.
And people may say, oh, we're not necessarily going out to buy steel and lumber, but somehow it does trickle down to the consumer.
Absolutely. Those are components used in a lot of the products we buy today. I mentioned copper. Copper is in every smartphone that we own. Copper is in every car that we own, plus semiconductors, obviously in almost every device that we use. So tariffs are still here for now, and that additional 10%, that's under review by Congress in 150 days. So 10% on an effective tariff rate of 9% already, we're still going to end up paying higher costs, though there's some relief through the Supreme Court ruling.
All right, we will continue to watch this. Caleb Silver for us tonight. Caleb, thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure.